Imagine you wake up in the middle of the night as you hear a window break or a door kicked in. A stranger is in your home. How would you react? What would you do? I'm sure you have some immediate ideas that come to mind, but what if you woke up to something a little more bizarre? What if the sound was coming from above you, say, in the attic? In today's story, we see how someone would react in that situation and learn that there aren't any heroics when you're frozen in sheer terror. 818 Stories. This is 818 Stories, where seriously scary stories are told seriously. If you're new here, please like the video and submit to the algorithm. Subscribe and hit that little bell too for weekly stories. As I said, today's story submission is from someone who heard something terrifying in the attic in the middle of the night. There's a bit of background information he shares, but I think it's important to hear it so you have a full picture. Here it goes. When I was 19, I would use every opportunity I had to see my then girlfriend. I had always thought that one day I'd marry her. That was over a decade ago, and things didn't quite pan out like that. In fact, that ended in the worst way possible. Life seems to do that. There was one summer, though, where she was at my house as much as she could be. We'd watch movies, talk, and we're just inseparable. That's just how it is when you're that young, and you think you're in love. There was something about her, though. She was off. I've come to realize over the years that the person I was with was never the person I thought she was. She would mold her personality to match mine, but there never seemed to be anything beneath the surface now that I think of it looking back. Something she did, that I thought was amusing then, was practice witchcraft. Now, I didn't get to see how any of this stuff worked, as she was always reluctant to share that part of herself with me. You know, I was a young guy and thought that kind of stuff was cool. I didn't really think about it. The times we weren't together, we'd call each other, and I remember there being long pauses with me asking her what she was doing. She would seem distracted. Sometimes I'd hear something break, or an impact, and then she would get angry. I didn't really know what that was about, but again, I was a dumb kid. I remember hearing her talk to someone, and always figured it was her parents, but now I'm not so sure. I'm pretty sure whoever, or whatever, she used to talk to, was what I heard one night. This night was in the middle of the summer. Her parents were out of town, and she had to watch the house and take care of their dogs. She invited me over to stay with her. I didn't spend nearly as much time over there as at my home with her, but figured it would be relatively similar to staying at my house. I was wrong about that. That night in particular, she would get upset constantly about strange things, and she seemed to fall asleep abruptly and wake back up a lot. Looking back, maybe it was drugs. I honestly don't know. But that night, it really made me uncomfortable. I was in the middle of playing a new computer game called Shogun 2 Total War, and I was telling her all about it in great detail, probably too much detail. I was really excited about that game, and while I was explaining it to her, she just snapped at me about how uninteresting it was, and then said she was heading to her bed. It was maybe 8 p.m. at that point. That was really unusual for us. We'd normally stay up really late. Also, she was normally a lot nicer. I told her I was sorry for talking her ear off about something she was uninterested in, and told her good night. I then stayed downstairs with the dogs and watched TV. I woke up in the living room at 2 in the morning. It was completely dark, and I couldn't see a thing. I guess the TV had turned itself off. I felt around for my phone to have some light. Once I got it on, I saw all the dogs laying completely still, asleep. They were old, fat, and lazy things. I got up and stepped lightly past them, and then proceeded to make my way upstairs to my girlfriend's room. The whole house was completely dark, but using my phone light, I found her room down the hall upstairs and laid down next to her. She was dead asleep. I laid there thinking, asking myself why she was acting so weird. Maybe I had done something and she was upset. She then said something in her sleep. It was indecipherable, but then she said it again. I said, "What, baby?" and leaned my head in closer to hear what she said. Her eyes shot open, and she didn't acknowledge me. She stared at the wall she was facing. She wasn't even staring at the wall, really. She was looking way past it, somewhere far off in the distance. Her eyes were somewhere else. She said something again, this time louder, but again I could not figure out what the hell it was. She shut her eyes, and it was as if she had been asleep the whole time. My back was a little tense. I had sat up to listen to her, but now I was going to lay back down and shrug it off. But then, it happened. Right above me in the ceiling, there were 3 loud bangs. I was a little tired, and it would have been easy to fall asleep, but now I was wide awake and concerned. I shook my girlfriend's arm and tried to wake her up. Baby, do you hear that?" She didn't wake up. I sat up staring at the ceiling. What the hell was that? I then heard something downstairs. It sounded like a loud and low rumble. That sound I had immediately assumed was the dogs. But I was nervous now and got up to investigate. I made my way downstairs. Nope. All of the dogs were laying where they were when I had gone up to lay down. Also, they were really still. Why hadn't that sound woken them up? I thought. I was creeped out, so I made my way back upstairs and laid down next to my girlfriend. Again, in the ceiling. I got up and froze. I didn't know what to do, really. I walked out into the hall and looked up. The entrance to the attic was located there. I was scared, but I grabbed the string to the attic and slowly brought the ladder down to enter it. That thing sounded like something from a horror movie when you opened it, and looking up into the blackness of the attic made me feel as if I was consumed by something cold and evil. That sounds dramatic, I know, but that's how it felt. Whatever this thing was though, it had to be in the attic. As soon as I had the ladder down in the hall, I took a deep breath and started to climb up. I had my phone light out, and I was going to figure out what was going on. The air conditioner in the house had shut off while I was climbing, making things dead silent. Every step up that ladder I took brought more fear into my heart. Just before I could peek my head inside the attic to see what was causing the sound, I started to lose my footing. I gripped the ladder tightly, and a shot of adrenaline went through me. I continued moving upward to see what was up there, but then I heard someone running up the stairs. I looked down toward the stairs. They were around the corner, so I couldn't see what it was. My mind was split between proceeding upward, freezing, and jumping down to quickly intercept whatever was coming up the stairs. This all happened in the blink of an eye, and because I couldn't come to certainty on any one of those decisions, I just fell backwards off the ladder. Fear had gotten the better of me. I landed on the floor and quickly scrambled to get up. I squeezed past the ladder and turned around the corner. Nothing was there. I peeked down and saw the dogs were still sound asleep. Right above my head, I heard it again. I had accepted that I was not going up there now. I had lost all of my courage. I quickly brought the attic door back up to the ceiling. It slammed shut, and now I'm no longer hearing those intense banging sounds from the attic, but instead, hearing what sounds like heavy footsteps walking around casually up there. I'm facing the ceiling, tracing the steps slowly, making my way back to my girlfriend's bedroom. I suddenly realized the steps were following my path. I stepped backward into my girlfriend's bedroom, and it continued. I sat in the bed, and the footsteps continued until they were right over my girlfriend. I'm about to turn and tell her we need to call the police and leave, but she shot straight up and turned her head to me. She looked at me like she wanted to kill me. She quickly laid back down and was asleep again. I don't know why, but her doing that had changed my mind about being so quick to leave. I just laid down next to her, wrapped my arms around her tightly, and somehow managed to fall asleep immediately. I woke up that morning with everything still fresh in my mind. In my sleep, I had turned to face away from my girlfriend. Now that I was awake, I turned over quickly to tell her what had happened, but she wasn't there. I got up and went downstairs. She wasn't there either. I went back upstairs to look around and see where she was. I found her in her parents' bedroom asleep on the floor. I woke her up and told her everything that had happened. She seemed more like her usual self. All she did was say that she was sorry. I was confused and stated again everything that had happened. She told me that the house does that sometimes and not to worry about it. What? She said it was a spirit, but that it was friendly. What the hell was going on? I had previously thought her witchcraft stuff was just some cool and novel aspect of her, but in that moment, a whole new world had opened to me. Was I crazy? Were we both crazy? As the years went on, strange things would happen with her, where she would stop talking to me for days at a time. She would even wander into the woods and stay there for days. I could continue on about that and how it led to us splitting up, but that's a much uglier and horrifying story to me, and I don't wish to share that. Since then, I'm split between if that all really happened or if my mind was playing tricks on me. I honestly don't know, and the years have a way of making things harder to be certain of. That concludes his story. Do you have an explanation for everything he described? Have you had something similar to this happen to you? Please let us know down in the comments below. If you have a story you want to share, please email me at 818stories@gmail.com. Something I've noticed with previous submissions is a concern that your story is not well written enough, or that it's not scary enough to share for a video. I say that's absolute nonsense. We want to hear your stories. I just need the details of what happened, and then I'll write a script, and then I'll use it in a future video. So if that's holding you back, don't let it. Shoot me an email. Also, ladies, at the time of recording this, I have yet to receive a scary story from you, so let's hear one. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for sticking around. Please remember to like this video, as it helps this channel tremendously. Stay safe and vigilant out there.
It's a dangerous world.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.